Good morning and welcome to today's Helius Medical Technologies webcast as part of the Planet MicroCap Showcase. It is now my pleasure to turn the floor over to your host, Dane Andreeff, CEO of Helius Medical Technologies.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone, at the Planet MicroCap conference. I'm joined with Joyce LeVicount, our CFO and Chief Operating Officer. Unfortunately, Dr. Jonathan Sakier, our medical advisor, is under the weather today, so we can answer any of your science questions and medical questions. But if we need Jonathan, we can bring him back on another day. But I'm Dane Andreeff. I'm the interim CEO of Helius Medical Technologies. Helius is a leading neurotech company in the medical device industry focused on empowering the healing process of the brain. We have built a disruptive technology for healthcare today and well into the future. Helius is a NASDAQ-listed company under the symbol HSDT. Our legal disclaimers for Helius Medical. The portable neuromodulation stimulator, or PoNS device, is the first and only patented treatment combining the trigeminal nerve neurostimulation via the tongue with physical therapy to reduce symptoms of neurological disease or trauma. I'm proud to announce in the United States, as of March 26th of this year, Helius Medical received clearance by our FDA, granted through our breakthrough designation pathway, to treat high unmet needs in gait deficit due to multiple sclerosis. In Canada, Health Canada has approved the use of the PoNS device for chronic balance due to mild to moderate traumatic brain injury, and last year approved the use of the PoNS device in gait deficit in multiple sclerosis. With our PoNS device, we are addressing a large market opportunity in a well-known indication. There are over 1 million American patients in the U.S. suffering from MS and growing. As well, Helius Medical is pursuing other opportunities in balance and gait deficit symptoms, such as mild to moderate traumatic brain injury, which accounts for approximately 80% of all TBIs. Other neurological diseases our PoNS will treat include stroke, cerebral palsy, and Parkinson's. Ongoing evaluation in neurological wellness and human performance is also at the forefront of our platform technology. But today, our focus with our clearance is clearly on MS. In May of last year, 2020, Helius was granted a breakthrough designation for high unmet needs in gait deficits for MS. And then we also had filed our de novo classification through the FDA's breakthrough designation pathway. And with that process, you're allowed a prioritized review. With this, also, it brings along a new policy from CMS. It's the expedited reimbursement pathway under the MCET rule. At Helius, we look to potentially use this pathway for other indications in the future. Under Helius' breakthrough designation pathway, and with our now clearance, CMS has introduced a new but pending reimbursement policy that will allow our PoNS device to be reimbursed for its first 4 years post-clearance. This new reimbursement pathway gives Helius access to more than 60 million Americans under CMS. And we are prepared. For the last 2 years, Canada has been our test bed both commercially and clinically. Helius first received Health Canada approval for our PoNS device for treatment of gait and balance deficit for mild to moderate TBI back in the fourth quarter of 2018. We started commercializing the PoNS treatment beginning with 2 clinics in early 2019, which has grown to 31 clinics across Canada today. In March of 2020, we received Health Canada approval for the treatment of gait deficit due to symptoms of MS. followed by our FDA breakthrough designation in May. And as we have, we did receive clearance in the U.S. as of March 26th of this year. And we're starting in first quarter 22, we expect to start commercializing of the PONS device in MS. Helius has a well-experienced senior management team. I'm Dane Andreeff. I'm the interim CEO, a member of the board. I also sit on 2 other healthcare boards. I also own a little over 5% of the company. I invested in the last 2 financings, both in October and earlier this year. I'm joined by Joyce LeViscount. She has over 35 years of experience in healthcare as our CFO and COO. Dr. Jonathan Sakier, who's one of our co-founders and medical advisors, is not with us as of today. He's a little bit under the weather, as I mentioned before. Mark Lino, head of our Canadian operations, has done a terrific job commercializing across Canada, even operating through the COVID restrictions. Our board of directors are led by Blaine Walter, the co-founder of Inventive Health, a publicly traded CSO company. Jeff Mathiasen has multiple years of CFO experience at publicly traded companies. Ed Straw, a retired 3-star admiral, brings a wealth of government relations experience. Mitch Tyler, a co-founder and co-inventor, is coming to us from the University of Wisconsin in Madison. And I'm also proud to announce Sherry Perkins has recently been a wonderful addition to our board at a crucial time. Sherry brings a wealth of commercialization experience in her roles at Cyberonics and Livanova. The PONS device, combined with physical therapy, treats gait and balance deficit in MS and mild to moderate TBI, respectively. It is a 14-week treatment, twice a day for 20 minutes, in combination with physical therapy, where the first 2 weeks are in a neuro-PT clinical setting, and the last 12 weeks are completed at home. The PONS device gently stimulates the surface of the tongue, exciting the neural network flow into the brain. This neural activity is believed to enable neuroplasticity, a changing of the brain which may restore lost function. Let's look at the science for a minute. As you can see, the PONS device is using the tongue as the entry point that has access to the very direct route to the brain. Call it a superhighway to the neural network of the brain that allows for non-surgical, non-implantable access of our PONS mouthpiece. The 143 electrodes on the PONS device gently stimulate the trigeminal nerve. The trigeminal nerve is one of the 12 cranial nerves that has the greatest contact area around the brain. Many patients state that the 25 million pulses per 20-minute treatment tingles when introduced to the surface of the tongue for the first time, kind of like champagne. The only side effect is the generation of excess saliva while in use. And with pleasure, I'll share with you the first of our 2 studies in MS. This is the results from a functional MRI study in Canada with 14 patients that showed positive results in specific areas of the brain related to motor control when using the PONS device and PT Group A versus a non-stimulating placebo device PT, which is Group B. Before and after bold imaging of MS patients clearly shows the 3 areas of the brain seeing an increase in activity in blood oxygen and blood flow. Bold images, which stands for blood oxygenation level dependent on functional MRI, shows brain activity, how the brain is demanding oxygen. And this is tied to blood flow through a complex series of behaviors known as neurovascular coupling. Basic physiological tells us that the trigeminal nerve, one of the nerves we stimulate, mediates the diving reflex, which impacts blood flow to the brain. This is well known. And as we know from excellent, peer-reviewed, published experimental work from different centers in stroke, TBI, and shock, that electrically stimulating the trigeminal nerve, just like we do, changes blood flow to the brain in a very positive and helpful way. Our Tyler study in MS clearly shows a dramatic improvement in the dynamic gait index over the 14-week treatment. Although the non-stimulating placebo device in PT Group 2 shows an early improvement in gait deficit, which is just PT alone, it starts declining after week 10 versus a continued improvement of the PONS treatment and clinically significant p-values. Helius has an extensive patent portfolio that covers all aspects of the brain stimulation through the tongue in combination with physical therapy and cognitive therapy. Essentially, we own the Fifth Avenue of neurostimulation real estate pathway through the tongue. Our legal team, Proskauer, has done a terrific job to extend our IP portfolio out to 24, protecting our technology and innovation. Currently, there's a massive gap in treating and managing neurological disorders for balance and gait deficits. Both physicians and patients have limited options. Many are turning to prescription drugs to manage symptoms, and over-the-counter drugs are often recommended for mild symptoms. There are various forms of therapy, including both mental and physical, and even surgery. Multiple sclerosis, as we mentioned earlier, affects more than 1 million Americans. Of that group, 41% have difficulty walking and 13% lose the ability to walk weekly. Helius has a massive opportunity in the United States for MS patients. The current MS market for gait deficit is large and a well-established pathway, with the current MS value pool greater than $500 million a year. This creates an opportunity for PONS for directly access and addressing the established MS gait deficit population to ease the low efficacy of medication. The competitive marketplace has built awareness with doctors and patients. It has produced aggregate sales of well over $3.4 billion over the last decade. Building trust in the MS market begins with understanding the unmet needs of those living with the disease. MS is a well-characterized chronic disease. Education and awareness continues to grow, as do those diagnosed. Once the diagnosis occurs, all MS patients meet regularly with their neurologist. This is a small group of around 16,000 doctors across the United States. For the MS patient, gait dysfunction, which is their balance, is one of their biggest concerns. We know this because they are very active on social media and through the MS organizations. New technologies and treatments are quickly amplified into the MS community, and that's good news for Helius and our PONS device. Receiving approval from Health Canada in March of last year has allowed Helius to test several commercialization pathways. To date, we've treated 42 MS patients, and close to 60% had improvement in their gait deficit. And they took their good news and shared their stories with the media. Helius has been featured in national publications and across TV networks. The U.S. has significantly a higher population, 10 times greater than the Canadian market, and we will continue to build strong relationships with the MS societies. The two markets are very similar. And we learned in Canada how important educating key opinion leaders are for our new technology. This past fall, we partnered up with KOLs to form the Helius MS Scientific Advisory Board. The individuals, mostly doctors from the top health centers in the United States, from Cleveland Clinic, Kessler, and Shepherd, to name a few. The members will give their perspective, knowledge, and advice. And this will be critical to build awareness of our PONS technology may enhance neuro rehab outcomes. Touching quickly on our international strategy, we have a strategic agreement with one of our larger investors, China Medical Systems. CMS will work with us on development and commercialization of the PONS treatment and device in China plus 4 other territories. Since we have U.S. clearance, we'll begin this pathway with China Medical, and we will use the relevant documentation in the U.S. for approval in China. Back at home, we're keeping an eye on stroke patients. Nearly 800,000 Americans will have a stroke in 2021, to go along with over 7 million existing stroke patients. Experts believe these numbers will double over the next 1 to 2 decades. More than half of the stroke victims suffer from reduced mobility if they are over 65. Falls are the leading cause of related deaths among elderly people in the United States. Presently, we have completed an excellent pilot study which has been published, and we also have real-world evidence. We are a leading neurological platform technology. So allow me to brief you on some of the other areas we see great potential. We are cleared in Canada to focus on mild to moderate TBI and have an additional study planned for the United States. For cerebral palsy, we have completed a pilot study and are looking forward to having it peer reviewed. Parkinson's disease will be part of a future study. And we are also well aware of the value to the larger baby boom market in looking into the neurological wellness space. Here's a quick snapshot of our current cap table and ownership. Personally, in the October deal, I led the deal along with Joyce LeViscount, our COO and CFO, and I raised my percentage of ownership to 6.3 by then. I also added to it in the first quarter raise with the Ladenburg financing. If you look at our cap table, we have warrants approximately just under 600,000. They're just in the money, and if exercised, could bring in addition of 9.7 million in capital to Helius. We are well positioned in 2021 and 2022 with our FDA breakthrough designation in MS, as well as our FDA clearance in MS. The breakthrough designation and clearance will set us up for 4 years of a new CMS reimbursement policy, allowing us access to 60 million Americans. In Canada, we've successfully commercialized into 31 neuro rehab PT clinics within the COVID environment. This will allow us to leverage our existing Canadian infrastructure into the U.S. for 2022 commercialization. We are focused. We are the first and only treatment to restore lost function by stimulating the cranial nerves, the trigeminal nerve, via the tongue, supported by an extensive patent portfolio. And through our patents, we own the Fifth Avenue neurostimulation real estate, which is the tongue. Thank you for your time. I'm Dane Andreeff, the interim CEO of Helius Medical Technologies, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Our first question comes from an investor. What would you say the company's value catalyst moving forward? Well, it's twofold. The way we create shareholder value is, first and foremost, we met the biggest, which was an FDA clearance in MS. Moving along the regulatory and clinical path, we believe stroke and thereby traumatic brain injury could be two similar paths that we took with MS through the clinical and regulatory pathway to create shareholder value. And of course, a successful launch and commercialization of MS in the first quarter of 2022, I believe would create tremendous shareholder value. The next question is, since we're cleared with the FDA and we've been slowly preparing for a rollout in the U.S., can we proceed even if Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement has not been decided? Well, it's really a great question. For a small company like ours, our resources, both in our balance sheet and our people, is small. We have to build back brick by brick. A number of key roles have to be filled in at the company. And we're still planning on a first quarter launch in 2022. It would, if we did have Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement, which we believe we will have, we believe that is a great asset, and it'll allow our commercialization pathway to go a lot smoother with at least 20% of the MS market reimbursed under Medicare. And that's all I have on questions. So I thank you right now, for your questions, and I look forward to the one-on-ones. Thank you.
Thank you. This does conclude today's webcast. Thank you for your participation and have a wonderful day.